Hello and welcome in to Weekly Spirit Boost. Oh, I have to restart this. Hold on. Yep, I'm ending it. Sorry, had a phone call during this and then it's not going to work. So I have to restart Instagram for everybody. Forgot to put my phone on focus. How is everyone doing? I'm Tammy Mashaberti, best-selling author of the book, The Universe is Talking to You, which is behind me. And I just got to get everybody on Instagram back. So bear with me for a second. Okay, here we go. Sorry, you guys. One moment. Okay. Okay, we're back. I'm Tammy Mashaberti, best-selling author of the book, The Universe is Talking to You. Tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magic moments every day. And I am excited because I'm actually going to be talking about synchronicity with all of you today. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the 3 different types of synchronicity. I've been talking a lot more about this, teaching a lot more about this. Our live summit is happening. That happens every year. It is the Living an Elevated Existence Summit. And you can join that for free. Link is in my bio and Instagram, and then below this video on YouTube and Facebook. That is happening. I'm actually interviewing Brandy Gilmore, amazing mind-body healing expert, at 1 p.m. Eastern today. So we'll be doing it live, and then there's a free 48-hour replay, but it started in January and it runs through April. And I do live interviews with different experts every Tuesday and Thursday, and it's free to join, and you get some free gifts when you join as well. Now, having said that, as part of this summit, I recently taught a class about how to ask for help from the universe and get answers, and I spoke about the different types of synchronicity. But I feel like sometimes when I talk to people and I tell them, you know, the universe is talking to you and responding to you and giving you guidance through signs and synchronicity, they don't fully make that connection. And so I like to break things down to make it extremely easy. And I have sort of broken down synchronicity into 3 different types that I find are the way that it mostly shows up. And the reason I broke that down is because I want you to start seeing it in your own life, and I want to make it easier for you. And my whole book, The Universe is Talking to You, is really a how-to on how to start spotting the fact that we are so guided and we are never alone. And so whether it be our loved ones, our angels, our guides, what have you. Here comes the cat. So can she ever not make an appearance on one of these weekly spirit boosts? I don't think it's possible. So let's get into synchronicity. So I talk about signs and synchronicity. And so signs are really more of a one-off occurrence. Synchronicity is when 2 or more things have a meaningful connection. They are related in some way. So it's always 2 or more to have that synchronistic experience. And the universe is using synchronicity and these synchronistic experiences to guide you, to wake you up to something, to reassure you, to guide you forward into where you should be going, to redirect you when you make a wrong turn. So when it comes to synchronicity, I have found 3 sort of ways that the universe will utilize it in order to grab your attention. And so let's talk about the 3 ways that it shows up so you can start seeing this in your own life as well. And if you have any questions, if anybody has any questions, you can post them while I am talking. I'll see them on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, what have you. So the 3 types of synchronicity. And I promise you they're already happening in your life. You just may not realize it. Okay, number 1, the universe will use synchronicity in your life to reassure you, let you know, yes, keep moving forward, that you are on the right path. So how does that show up? You are thinking about doing something. You have an idea about something, and you don't really act on it right away. You're not 100% sure what you should be doing or if you should be following it or is this a good idea? And the universe wants you to know, yes, do it. Take the class, join the gym, whatever it might be. And so it will use these synchronistic experiences to keep throwing it in your face, throwing that topic in your face, throwing that idea in your face, throwing people and opportunities in your face that make it easier to achieve the idea that you had, right? And that's how you go, maybe I'm on to something. Maybe this is something I should be paying attention to. Maybe this is something. Maybe I am doing the right thing. Okay. And so I'll give you an example. Let's see, I have so many different examples I always give. I'll go back to the green juice one. That's my original. So let's say that you've been hearing about juicing and you think, gosh, I should really get a juicer. I should really start juicing. I've heard it's so good for you and it's a great way to get a vast amount of nutrients from vegetables that you can't get from possibly eating all of them, yada yada. And so you think I should really start juicing. And then about a week after you have this thought, you go into a bookstore and there's a whole sort of like clearance section in that bookstore of just like random books that are on clearance, right? And sitting on the top is like 101 green juice recipes or 101 juicing recipes. And you're like, oh, that's so weird. I was just thinking about that. And here it is sitting on the top of this thing. You know what? I'm going to buy this. I really have to get that juice, or I'm going to do it. So you buy the book, you come home, you leave it on the counter, and it sits there for like another week, maybe even 2 weeks. You don't do anything with it. You don't buy the juicer. Then you get a phone call from a friend who was like, oh, I was talking to my yoga instructor and she was talking about juicing. And so I just ordered this juicer and I think I'm going to start doing it. And it's really good for you and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, that's so weird because I was thinking about the same thing. And then I wound up seeing this book and I bought it, with these recipes, but I still haven't done anything with it. Okay. Maybe a few days later, you're watching TV or you're scrolling through something and you see a whole documentary on this guy, and there actually is a name for this documentary, and I always forget the name of it. This guy who changed his life with juicing, and you're like, I think it's called like Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, or something like. I can't think of the name. Something around that. And so you're like, oh my gosh, so crazy. Why do I keep seeing things about juicing? The reason is the universe is trying to encourage you to move forward. The universe is trying to say to you, do what you are thinking of doing. This is the right thing. Move forward, go with God and go. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's how the universe will sort of reassure you and nudge you towards something you might be thinking about doing anyway, to provide you with that reassurance that you're on the right path. That's just one example. But again, like I said, you can come up where you have an idea to do something and then all of a sudden the right people line up or the right opportunities line up to make it easy for you to do. That's the universe opening the path for you. So that's the first type. The second type is you have no idea about something and the universe is trying to wake you up to something. It's trying to make you take notice of something. And so that is, again, sort of, and you'll notice through these examples, repetition is a big deal. So the universe will continue to throw things in your face until you get it. So the second piece is waking up and taking notice. So maybe you have no idea about something, and then all of a sudden somebody tells you about the name of a book, the name of a certain doctor, the name of a healing modality, a type of diet, whatever it might be. Someone tells you about it and you're like, oh, that sounds intriguing. And then it comes up again. And then it comes up again. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? I've never heard of this. Why have 3 people told me to read this book in the past 3 weeks? Or, why sometimes it's within a couple of days you keep hearing something. It could even be a type of animal or, an odd, I always use the example of a grasshopper. Why do I keep seeing grasshoppers? Well, the universe wants you to look up the metaphysical meaning of that grasshopper because that's a message for you. There's a reason you keep seeing something. It's trying to wake you up. So again, it could be the name of the book, it could be anything, but something that sort of hasn't been on your radar, but all of a sudden you're being bombarded with it. That has happened to me so many times in my life with so many different things. And usually by like the third time, I have to say this. Now I'll do it if I get two, I'll go, okay, I get it. But in the past, it was like, okay, by the third time, I was like, I get it. I'll get the book, I'll do the thing, whatever. The third way that synchronicity shows up, and this is really one of my favorites, is to guide you and direct you forward. So often this type of thing can't it's hard to see it when it's unfolding. It's easier to connect the dots afterwards. But what I love about this is it shows you when you can start connecting those dots how actually guided and directed we are, and how random events may seem random to us in the moment, but they are actually leading us somewhere. So you get fired from a job and you're so upset about it, but then you wind up getting another job and meeting your now amazing best friend who's helped you, or you wound up meeting somebody who introduces you to your now husband, right? We see these tragic, crazy things in our life and we think like, why is this happening to me? And often the universe is moving you forward and guiding and directing you. It doesn't always have to be a tragedy. It could totally be something else. When my mother passed away, I'll never forget, and I did not realize this. Again, I did not realize this until after she passed. But 6 months before that, a friend of my sister's brought in a book from a medium called George Anderson, and it was he had books written about him, but this was the first book that he wrote himself about his own life. And at the time, this is 20 plus years ago, mediums were not popular, and not how they are today. And so my sister's friend brought this in, and I literally can still see myself sitting on the floor in my living room with my sister and her friend and my mother sitting on the recliner and having a whole conversation about this guy and how he had this ability and how this is crazy and how my mother would love to hear from her loved ones who have passed on, but maybe her mother and father she got to say goodbye to, maybe this is more something when there's no closure. Had a whole discussion about this guy and his ability 6 months before she died. She dies. He shows up everywhere. And I mean everywhere. He came to our town. My sister heard him in an interview on the radio. We saw two different Dateline. I think one was Lifetime and one was Dateline NBC or something. I can't remember exactly. This is 20 years ago. Did specials on him. He just showed up everywhere. And my sister kept calling me and saying, but mommy knew about him before she died. She knew. Remember, we talked about it. She wants us to go see this guy. And 100%, not only were we led to go to him, but he was introduced 6 months before. So we then knew, my mother knew about him before she passed, right? Now, obviously, knowing what I know now, that doesn't matter. But at the time, it's what pushed us to say, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe we should go to him. And that literally changed my viewpoint on everything in life when I went to the reading with him. So that's an example of the guiding and the directing. And often we can't see it. So in my book, I have an exercise called Follow the Footsteps, where I teach you to trace back and find these. And when we can start finding how guided we are, how every event, every puzzle piece is connecting to the next and the next, and our mind is blown. We're like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm really not alone. I'm actually being guided. Everything I'm doing is happening for a reason. Oh my gosh, how much more peace that gives you in life right now. How much more peace that gives you in knowing that when life pulls the rug out from under you in some way, okay, I don't know why this is happening, but I know that I'm always guided and I know it's always leading me somewhere and somewhere better. So this stinks, but I can ride this out and I can feel a little bit more certain that I know it's going to lead me somewhere versus, oh my gosh, everything is a mess and I can't trust the universe and I can't trust myself and my life is just miserable and it's just going to get worse and yada yada, how we do, right? So those are the three things. And notice there was a lot of repetition in there, and the universe will complete. Listen, the universe is not going to give up on you just because you're not getting the message. It's going to keep doing it. It's going to keep showing you. It's going to keep redirecting you. It's always talking to you. And synchronicity is one of the ways that it talks to you. And obviously, I share a lot more in the book about how to start opening up to it. But I will tell you, and you may have noticed me even saying it in these examples, but one of the ways to start spotting it easily in your life is when you say things either to yourself, to another, or you hear someone else saying things like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. Like, this is the strangest thing happen, or the craziest thing. I was thinking about this and then it showed up, or, I can't believe I had this. I have no idea who this person is, but people keep talking to me about it. Why? Things like that, or oh my gosh, this was like perfect timing. I was just looking for this and here's my answer. When you start seeing things like that happening in your life, I want you to pay attention because there is messages in that, and you will, when you start noticing it, the universe doesn't have to repeat it 15 times for you to get it. You get it sooner and you move forward sooner, right? Because you're getting the messages. Listen, nobody teaches us how the universe talks to us. You don't learn that in school, right? This isn't like something your parents taught you. Nobody teaches us that. But when we can start learning how the universe talks to us and how we talk to it, which is the book that I'm working on now called The Higher Help Method. When we can start learning this, oh my gosh, right? Think about any relationship you have, especially romantic relationships, which drive us crazy. And they're meant to drive us crazy, but that's a whole other talk. When you think about relationships, what is the thing that most people say? You have to have communication. You have to have open lines of communication. You need to be able to communicate with one another, right? You have an intimate relationship with the divine, with your angels and guides. We also need to have those lines of communication open, and we need to nurture it, and we need to know how to utilize it the same way you do with any other relationship. And so that's why I really teach people how to sort of dial into what I call that divine higher helpline, because it is there. It is available to each and every one of us. It is open 24/7. It is the ultimate psychic hotline because it knows all. So I just wanted to come on here and sort of share a little bit about the synchronicity piece in case you have not read my book or heard about it, or you just need a little refresher maybe about what's going on in your life right now, because I find it to be the coolest thing in the world. And that's why, the universe is talking to you, literally says, tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magical moments every day. It makes life magical. It makes life like living in Harry Potter. For those of you who know Harry Potter, okay? Magic is real. And so that's really what I wanted to come on here and talk about before I go and do that summit interview. And for those of you who are interested in this, I did teach a free class. It is available in that summit. If you sign up, it's elevatedexistencesummit.com. Again, link is in my bio and Instagram, and also under this video on Facebook and YouTube. And you can listen to an entire class on communicating with the universe that I taught for free as part of that summit. And I've left that open. It hasn't expired. Usually everything else is sort of 48 hours for the replay to be open. So let me just get to any questions. If you guys have any questions on Instagram, let me know. I'm seeing you as well, but I just want to get to some of the questions that or just some of the comments that came in before I jump out of here. Hi, Sam. Sam says this is helpful. Difference between signs and synchronicities. Yeah, listen, I like to break things down. I like to sort of break things down into simple, easy to understand terms, because I'm a Virgo. I'm a very logical person. So all of my teachings are I break it down so that I understand it. Years ago, when I was in the magazine industry, I used to write a lot on technology. And people were like, "How can you write on technology?" And I'm like, "Because I ask questions until I understand it, and then I know when I write about it, other people are gonna understand it, right? Because it's complicated. But if I can get it and then translate that for other people to understand, I just have always been I've always been sort of good at that. And that's sort of how I approach all of my teaching. Um, oh, Sandy says hello from Michigan. I'll be joining the summit later. Yay! Brandy is amazing, and I believe she's gonna be doing some live readings and healings also, and she's awesome. Deborah says, I had near death experience a whole week before. Every day I woke up at 11:11, 3 through 7:07 time. I was born. I'm trying to get answers. Any advice? Did you look up those numbers is my question, especially 707, which I find to be interesting. Um, I think that's interesting. I would look up those numbers and see what messages those numbers have specifically about your life, and see what you think, especially 707. I think that's interesting. It sounds like you said I every day I wake up. Oh, so now every day you wake up. I would look up 1111, 333, and 707 and see if there's maybe a theme to what those numbers are trying to tell you. Because if you are waking up and seeing them over and over again, I promise you there's specific messages in those numbers. And you can literally just Google metaphysical meaning of 707 or 333. I mean, thank the universe. Also, you can look up Kyle Gray has a whole book on angel numbers that he has broken down the meanings for as well. So that might be helpful to you. But it sounds to me like if you are continually waking up with that, I would look up those numbers 100%. Um, okay, let's see. Oh, Mary said 707 is God has heard your prayers. That's amazing. So what's going on in your life right now that you are looking for help with, and then looking up that 1111 and that 333? And I feel like I almost feel like intuitively that's it's like a piece of the puzzle. So I feel like once you understand what those numbers are, you're going to be led to the next thing. But I feel like you need to understand that message before you understand more, if that makes sense, Deborah. Okay. Sam, thank you, Tammy. This was fascinating. Have been noticing many family members and friends talking about visiting or even moving to Portugal recently. Could this be a synchronicity for me? Thank you. I mean, listen, I would think about it. I would pay attention to it. Is that something that you've been thinking about doing? Is this something, is Portugal an area that you have been to, or not so much moved to, but have you been thinking about visiting? I would think about different things like that and just think, why do I keep hearing about Portugal? And ask the universe, say, listen, I keep hearing about this. For you, it's Portugal, but it could be anybody. I keep hearing about this. What do I need to know about this? Bring me more information, send me more signs, help me understand this, give me the idea. What am I supposed to be understanding? There could just be something around Portugal that you need to be paying attention to. And again, it might not be that you need to move there, but there could be something around that I feel like will reveal itself to you. Okay. Okay. I think those are all mine. I don't know if I saw anything else on Instagram, but I thank you all for being here with me. I always love hanging out with you guys and talking in these weekly spirit boosts. I hope it sort of gives you a boost of inspiration before you head into the weekend, because we are on a Thursday. And I'm going to go prep for my interview with Brandy. Again, anybody on a healing path, she is amazing. She has, healed herself from being in a wheelchair and so much more, which she'll share. So the summit really is all about mind body healing and intuition, enhancing and opening your intuition, and then manifestation. And so if you're not part of it, elevatedexistencesummit.com, it's completely free to listen to all of these amazing people, access their free gifts, access their special offer. It's something I do every year, and we are literally in season 10. So again, elevatedexistencesummit.com. I'm going to go prep for Brandy. We have Dee Wallace coming up. We have Akashic Records coming up next week. Deborah King is coming up, who's going to be teaching you how to open yourself to medical intuition. So much stuff. So check that out. And oh, thank you. I'm glad you guys have, some of you have been enjoying it. And I will be back here next Thursday for another weekly spirit boost. But join me in that summit. I'll be live in about a half an hour, and then again there'll be a free 48-hour replay. And I might be doing a most popular replay weekend this weekend. So stay tuned for that. If you sign up, you might be able to hear some of the things that you've missed so far. So love to all of you. See you all next week. And as always, go into this weekend being open, being happy, looking for doing something for yourself that brings you joy, and spotting those synchronicities, looking out for what I said. See if you can start seeing some of them in your own life. And definitely always report back to me because I love hearing them. All right, sending love to you all, and I'm going to go prep for the interview, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.